my friends, and welcome to the Growing Happy Babies Birthworkers interview series. In this podcast directory, I make sure that you have the easiest possible time deciding which wonderful birth supporter is right for inviting into your family's journey. All the potential members of your essential prenatal and postpartum village are assembled right here in the Growing Happy Babies directory. Doulas, midwives, prenatal and infant body workers, lactation consultants, and so much more. I'm Adina Kopinski, board-certified lactation consultant and fellow mom. Together, we transition more easily into motherhood. Let's grow some happy babies together. Hello, everyone. Welcome again. Today, I have here with me Mushka Majeski. She is a doula and also certified in the Body Ready method, which is just an amazing prenatal body preparation course, way of being, way of understanding the body that I personally highly recommend. And I'm so happy that Mushka has that as, one of the tools in her toolbox. So hi, Mushka.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I'm really excited to hear more about you and what you do. So could you start us off by telling us how you got into the field?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, and some birth was something that I've always been extremely fascinated by, interested in. Obviously, through high school and beyond, it was something that, I read a lot about, I learned a lot about. I was actually thinking about going into midwifery. That was my original interest. And once COVID hit, I remember I was sitting at home and again, I was doing some searching and I saw an opportunity for a doula course came up and I thought, why don't I start here? I wasn't in the place right then to go back to school to, go into midwifery. And I figured this was a good place to dip my toes in. And once I did take that course, I remember the first day I came back from, that first class. And I remember telling my mother, like, I am shocked that we don't know all this from before. This isn't something that, people should find out 10 days before they give birth. This is women, this is our body, this is who we are, and we should really, we should know about this before. We should be educated earlier. And I was, in complete awe, and from there, here we are.
Love that. It's true. It's very true. The sneaky surprise of women's bodies, I think, is a disservice we do in so many ways. Getting your first period, giving birth, breastfeeding, all the realities of living in, what a female body can do. We should be better prepared.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
We're a miracle. We're a miracle, and we should know more about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you add in a little bit about not just what your expertise is as a doula, but also just like what you bring to your doulaing that is uniquely Mushka, that someone would, find with you and your support that they wouldn't necessarily find with someone else?
Sure. It's an interesting question because oftentimes, I'll get the question, well, you're so young and maybe you haven't had your own children and you don't have, 20 years of experience under your belt. So they'll ask this question, what can you offer that others can't? And I think that every birth worker, every birth supporter comes with something unique and comes with something special. And that's what helps them connect to their client and be able to be there for whoever it is that they're supporting. And I think for myself, something that I find is that I will be there fully present for you in whatever situation. I see you. I don't, just see the birth or the goal at the end. I see you in the moment. And I will fully be there for you and whatever it is that you need. Obviously the most important for me as a doula is that the mom should feel supported, feel taken care of, feel advocated for, feel heard, feel seen, and that her baby should be healthy, obviously. So, that's where I feel that I excel. And as well as the Body Ready method education that I've had, I feel can be extremely helpful before, prenatally, during birth, during labor, and as postpartum as well. So
Can you tell us more a little bit about the Body Ready method?
Sure. So the body ready method is body work. It focuses on alignment, balance, pelvic floor function, and all that, how that supports labor and delivery, as well as, the pregnant body and the postpartum body. And what it is doing is basically stacking the cards in your favor. So you are preparing your body for the best case scenario for birth, and obviously during birth, helping labor progress. Where is the baby in the body? What stage is the baby at? How can we, if there's a stall in labor, what happens next? What's the best way to go about it? Something interesting about body ready method is that although it is, focused and geared for the pregnant mom and for birth and labor, it is something that is helpful for every woman, and for, female health and female body health. And I found that truly fascinating, because I shared that with many people that, maybe having a child right now is not relevant to them. However, they found that the body ready method and how that, works for them is helpful. So
Yeah, well, we all have a pelvic floor and it has to adapt to a variety of loads throughout life. Whether that's a
exactly.
growing baby or not, there's going to be an impact on your pelvic floor. And the more we can think of the body as a, dynamic load system, the healthier we're going to be in always.
hmm Exactly. We use it for every part of our life,
Yeah,
every
absolutely. Yeah.
every day, every part, and it should be healthy and strong and, you know, help us through that.
Yeah, and the people who run the Body Ready Method have an amazing postpartum core recovery program called Restore Your Core, which I highly recommend to my lactation clients all the time. I'm seeing the women that you see prenatally, I'm seeing them postpartum. So there's like, slightly different concerns or different emphases. And both of the programs are just brilliant ways to understand your body and help it be as dynamic and responsive as it can be.
Absolutely.
Can
Agreed.
you tell us? Can you tell us a story? Everybody loves a story. Can you tell us a story of a birth you attended, or a situation that you helped with, which might inspire or educate the families and moms listening in today?
Sure. So it may sound cliche, but really my first birth that I've ever attended was, I would say, my most transformative. And, it wasn't the kind of birth where something extremely out of the ordinary happened. In fact, I would say that it was more of a textbook type birth. But I think in that was an extreme, beauty. There was something, you know, she she was somebody who took her birth experience, and turned it into, she owned it. She owned her birth. I watched how, as she progressed, her body was moving intuitively. She was working with herself. And as a doula, we're there obviously, to help support and to be there and to guide when necessary. But essentially, it's the mom doing the work, and the mom who knows her body best in that way. And I remember she was pushing, and it was challenging, and it was quite a few hours. It was her first birth, and at some point, I remember kind of just like taking a step back and just being there with her and thinking, she's a lioness. She's got this. She needs to know that I'm here for her and that I'm holding her hand, and that she got this. Um, but she's doing this on her own, and that was like the biggest lesson in birth for me. That you can do it, and that you have everything in you that you need to have your baby. That was really special.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it's true. Can you give a pregnant woman a piece of advice?
Sure. Knowledge is power. I've heard this in my donut classes. I've heard this in Body Ready Method. I've heard this. Knowledge is power. Educate yourself. Ask questions. Don't be scared to ask questions. Find out more. Come into your birth feeling like you own it, that it's yours, that one thing that we know about birth is that birth is unpredictable. So, at the end of the day, we can learn and learn, we can decide, we can choose, we can know, we can have a good picture of what we want our births to look like, and it might not be that way. But when we have tools and we know that we have the best to our ability, the tools that we need, we're all that much closer to, feeling empowered in our birth.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming into a new experience, especially if it's your first pregnancy and birth,
Yeah.
coming in, being aware of, what kind of things could happen,
Yeah.
it's really protective against even just anxiety, just knowing what to expect. And as much as birth is always unexpected, there are certain patterns that do play out.
Yeah, 100%. I've had clients that felt differently, that they wanted to kind of come in with zero expectations. They didn't want to hear much before, it made them nervous. They just were happy to come in kind of open and ready to see what will be. And for them, it worked. For some, it did. For some, I think more knowledge and tools would have been helpful for them. So essentially, you have to know yourself and what feels right to you. But I do think that the knowledge is power. I think there's real truth to that statement.
Yeah. Can you tell women what they might be surprised by postpartum?
Boredom. I think they might be surprised by, how challenging it can be. And they will also be surprised by how many people are really there for you. Sometimes it's hard to ask for help, but ask for help, because there are people who are there and who care and want to be there for you. I think emotionally is a huge thing. I think people might know that, physically they might be exhausted. If they have other children, they know that that can be a challenge raising children with a newborn. But I think emotionally, to be prepared that receiving support, especially emotionally, reaching out when you need help, is very important, and it will change how you feel. So do that.
I I love the idea of you'll be surprised how helpful people will be. It's a nice turnaround to think what we usually say, which is make sure you get the help you need, which puts the onus on the mother. But be surprised by how helpful people will be is a lovely
Yeah.
reflection of community.
Yeah. We care about one another, and sometimes people don't know how to help, and sometimes we need to help them help us. Hey, pick up the phone, call a friend. I'm having a really rough day. I'm just feeling emotionally and mentally drained in every sense of the world. Can you be there for me?
Hmm.
And people will be if you
Thank
allow them to.
you. Thank you.
Yep, my pleasure. Thank you for this opportunity.
Friends, check out the full directory for every interview we've done up until now, housed at my website, growinghappybabies.com. But before you go, I've got one question. Are you the kind of person who learns better by listening or by doing? In my 2-part online prenatal breastfeeding class, The Pocket Prenatal, I blend the basics of breastfeeding with practical hands-on skills. Choose to watch the videos on your computer or phone, read through the transcripts, or pop in an earbud, take a walk, and listen to the audio-only podcast version. After you've dived into the what's and whys of breastfeeding, join part 2, our live hands-on class, where we roll up our sleeves and practice the how of breastfeeding. Experience hand expression, learn how to size yourself for better pumping, practice bottle feeding techniques that improve your baby's sucking skills, and use easy bodywork exercises to help your baby's comfort, sleep, and digestion. You're going to walk out of this class with an essential toolkit for navigating early motherhood. This is the class every baby needs their mother to take. Go to thepocketprenatal.com and use your listener code, Growing Happy Babies, for a special 10% discount. See you there.